Good morning. Welcome to Breakfast with John Kay and Sally Nugent.
Good morning. Here are your headlines at 6 o'clock. And the price of stronger alcohol aims to simplify alcohol duties by taxing according to strength. Here's our reporter Ben King with the details.
Weather and what July has been like, and also what August might be like.
Oh, I can sum up July in a word: wet.
Got some other words for it as well.
Yes.
6:15. Let's look at the papers, shall we? This 1st of August.
And take a look at these incredible pictures this morning. We have some starry snaps for you. These are the first pictures to be sent back by Europe's new space telescope.
It took some time, I think 11 years to build this telescope. The mission itself is now 6 years. They're building up a 3D map of what's called the dark side of the universe. But more of those pictures and more information about what they're gathering are in an article right now on the BBC News website for you.
There's a great story on the front page of the Times this morning about if you want someone to read an email, when do you think you should send it? You know, we get lots of emails, don't we? And sometimes it gets a bit overwhelming.
Well, I'd have thought about now, like early in the morning, so it's in your inbox or the person's inbox.
Well, apparently it's between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. on a Sunday, because that's when it's really quiet, so it's more likely to get someone's attention. It's more likely to get a reply rather than just being ignored. I mean, who would ever ignore an email? Yes, me too.
But it's interesting, though, isn't it? I wonder whether people are keen to show that they're working hard on a Sunday as well, so they don't impress the boss, reply to the email?
Perhaps.
Not speaking from personal experience, of course. Now, the UK could soon be able to launch its first rocket into space from a tiny island in Shetland. Now,
after a husband and wife team bought the land around 15 years ago, the site could now be just weeks away from securing a spaceport licence.
Our correspondent, Laura Goodwin, joins us now, live on Breakfast from Unst. I don't think we've ever said that before. Good morning, Laura.
Very relaxed. Carol is here with us in the studio. This one, tell you though, is that it's definitely a bear. Not a check.
It is real.
It is real. It's a sun bear. That's just what they look like.
I think Chester Zoo here has verified the pictures for us.
Yes, they have. Yes.
So that's good. We can also verify that this is the real Carol Kirkwood. This is not somebody in a costume. This is the... We've got some numbers for you as well, because in the last couple of minutes, the energy giant BP has announced its profits for the last few months.
Yeah, Emma is here to explain. Go on. What are the numbers, Emma?
Well, the profits for the last quarter reported by BP are £2 billion. Now, that is lower than was predicted. In the first quarter of this year, they reported profits of £4 billion. It had been predicted to be around 2.7, so £2 billion, a bit lower than analysts had forecast. But the big picture here, of course, is that over the past year, we've seen soaring profits from energy firms, largely driven because of Russia's invasion with Ukraine. That has started to turn a corner. The prices of oil and gas is coming down, so we're starting to see that reflected in companies' profits. Last week, though, we saw record profits for British Gas. Shell's profits came down a bit last week. But what does this mean for people at home? OK, people are still struggling with the high energy costs. So, of course, we're going to see those arguments come back about how fair is it for companies still to be getting relatively high profits, even though they have turned a corner.
And are we hearing any reaction to the numbers yet?
We've just had it in the last few minutes. But what arguments we saw last week from Labour and from the Lib Dems were that, look, we need to tax these energy companies even tougher. The government says there is this windfall tax. They have clawed back quite a lot of money from the energy firms, which they say is going to help with cost of living schemes for households. Opposition parties, though, say, look, these are still relatively high, still lots of money, get even tougher.
Emma, thank you very much indeed.
Now, it is just coming up to 17 minutes past 7. Almost half of under-18s in need of urgent care for eating disorders in England are waiting more than 3 months to begin NHS treatment, according to new analysis.
And that's despite an NHS promise to ensure that by 2021, the majority of children with acute cases would begin treatment within a week.
The research by the Children's Commissioner for England has found there are currently almost 12,000 patients under the age of 18 in England. That figure has more than doubled since 2016.
Well, we're joined now on Breakfast by the Children's Commissioner for England, Dame Rachel de Souza, and by the eating disorder campaigner, Hope